Let's bring in right now the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and Senate Majority Leader, Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. We, of course, heard from Erin McLaughlin's report, the tragedy of mass graves, the tragedy of Ukrainians being tortured, of human rights violations, the breaking of international law. Putin has been isolated across the globe, except in Saudi Arabia, MBS actually doing his bidding. I'm curious, the majority leader spoke a couple of days ago about there could be a legislative response. What might that look like?
Well, we have a number of things we can consider, but let's look at the state of the play. The momentum is on the side of the Ukrainians. Putin is back on his heels. He's issued a conscription of 300,000, many of whom have no military experience whatsoever, to come to his rescue. The critics of Putin are now stepping forward publicly in Russia against him. And where does he turn? He goes to OPEC Plus and asks the Saudis to stand behind him at this moment. And they have said yesterday that they're going to be compliant. They're going to join Putin in this effort to raise oil prices, which, of course, puts more hardship on NATO and the United States and our allies and gives more revenue to Putin at just a moment in history when we don't want that to occur. There are various things that we can consider. There's a bill called NOPEC, which authorizes our Department of Justice to file antitrust actions against companies, even foreign companies, that are complicit in raising oil prices in an antitrust fashion. So there are things we can do. But make no mistake, bottom line is, when it came to choosing sides, OPEC 6 and particularly the Saudi Arabian kingdom decided they would come down on the side of Vladimir Putin, not on the side of the Western world, not on the side of the United States.
Senator Durbin, good morning. When the president traveled to Saudi Arabia over the summer, White House officials were careful to say that, look, yeah, oil was going to come up, but it wasn't the only topic of conversation. It was about sort of the relationship the United States has with the Middle East, in particular, how Saudi Arabia could play a role with Iran. Well, in the light of this, with Saudi Arabia seemingly choosing sides away from the United States, beyond the issue of oil, what is your concern right now about how that could affect the U.S.'s presence and role and relationship with the Middle East going forward?
Well, I'll tell you, take a look at the litany of problems that we've had with Saudi Arabia, starting with 9/11, the unanswered questions. Jamal Khashoggi is still unanswered. The complicit nature of the Trump administration, which was a lapdog for the Saudi kingdom. You take a look at what's going on today. Dissidents and women are being discriminated against on a wholesale basis in this country. You know, you wonder, the United States has this nominal alliance with a country which doesn't seem to share our values. And when it comes down to the time of war, the invasion of Ukraine comes down on the wrong side. I question whether or not they are our allies and whether we ought to be trusting them when it comes down to critical decisions.
Senator, I want to ask you about this latest news that a federal appeals court panel ruled this week that DACA, the program that protects over 600,000 young immigrants from deportation, is illegal. It sent a Biden administration effort to shore up the program back to a lower federal court, allowing the current program to remain in place. The decision means the more than 600,000 immigrants enrolled in the program can work and study in the U.S. without fear of being deported, but it bars any new applicants. Just wanted to get your thoughts on this latest development.
I'm very concerned. Over 20 years ago, I introduced the DREAM Act. I appealed to President Obama to create by executive order some relief for these hundreds of thousands of young people brought to the United States as children who simply want to be part of our future. They're an amazing group. And he did it in creating DACA, but it's been under attack from the right and from some conservative circles ever since. The Fifth Circuit decision was fair warning to Congress that unless we do something, and I mean do it soon, these young people could be subject to deportation. There is a Texas federal court judge who has ruled DACA unconstitutional. They overruled by the Supreme Court. Well, it's heading back toward his courtroom again. God knows what he's going to do next. It is time for us in Congress to step up and do what we should have done long ago, establish the DREAM Act and give these young people a path to citizenship.
Senator Dick Durbin, thank you very much for being on this morning. And coming up, we'll go live to Florida.